So I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to think that motivation isn't really the problem anymore. I think that people, and I used to be guilty of this too, I think that people become addicted to feeling like they're working on something. They've become addicted to feeling busy and productive, but in reality, they're not really moving the needle. And the reason I know they're not really moving the needle in the direction of their goals is because they still spend entirely way too much time on social media. You have become addicted to archiving posts to come back to them later. You have become addicted to watching motivational content, but yet you have still not implemented any of the things that any creator has told you to do. You still continue to make excuses, you still continue to procrastinate, you still continue to talk about what you're going to do, but that never shows up. And that's because you have become addicted to being into that loop. And it's not really needing motivation because I just feel like if you look at your life and evaluate the direction it's going in, then that should be motivation enough. That should be motivation enough, okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. Good morning, by the way. If you're new to the channel, my name is Jasmine, and we talk all things motivation. We talk all things leveling up, glowing up, becoming your highest version, and actually executing the things that we talk about. So make sure you guys subscribe. I'm feeling amazing. I just came back in not too long ago, changed, did my 10K steps, got my 45 minutes of lifting in, and I'm here making content. And for those of you guys who are repeat viewers, I'm glad you're here. I stress that I want you guys to not just sit and listen to me. I want you guys to actually be moving while listening to me, whether that's working out, meal prepping, getting your steps in, figuring out what kind of content you're going to make for the week. I don't want you to just be idle while you're watching me because I'm big on execution. I am big on execution. You got to get off of social media. You have got to get off of social media. I want you to ask yourself, if life was perfect, what would you be doing right now? What would a perfect reality look like for you? Would you be traveling? Would your bills be caught up? Would you be creating content? Would you be running a business? Would you be at a healthy weight, your goal weight? Like what would your perfect life look like? For me, I knew even before I was a content creator, I knew that I was not going to be overweight forever. Okay, if you didn't know, I lost 100 pounds. My heaviest weight was 340 pounds. I was a very big girl, but I knew that I was not going to be 340 pounds forever. And it's crazy because, looking back at my old pictures, I am still shocked at how big I really was. Because in those moments when I was 340 pounds, I didn't see myself as a 340-pound woman. Weight blindness is real. I saw myself like who I am today. Okay, lean, athletic, muscular, like that. When I would look in the mirror, that's what I saw. But that's not what was reality, right? But I knew I didn't want to be 340 pounds. So I want you to think about, like, what would the dream version of you look like or act like? What kind of things would she do? What kind of people would she hang around? Let's talk about that. When I think about perfect friends, and of course nobody's perfect, so just hear me out though. When I think about friendships, I think about being friends with other women who are also leveled up, who are also working on goals, who respect themselves and who don't allow others to respect them, who prioritize wellness, right? They may not be a weightlifting girly like me, but they gonna make sure they move their body in some way, shape, or form. Just someone who really cares about the direction that their life is going in. That's what I envision, right? And in order for me to have those type of friendships, I have to be that type of person. I can't expect to have friendships with women who are leveled up and working on their goals and stuff, and I'm not doing that. That doesn't even make sense. That would be an imbalance in the friendship, and I wouldn't be able to add any type of value to the friendship because I'm not on that type of time. So, because that's how I see my future friendships, whenever those do come into my life, I make sure that I become the woman that I need to be in order to be able to nurture those friendships in a healthy manner. Same thing when it comes to my business. Before I was an entrepreneur, I knew I wanted to run a business. Like I knew that because that whole 9 to 5 shit, if you've watched my lives or if you've, seen other videos, I've told you guys how toxic that work environment was for me. And I think because I hated my 9 to 5 so much, at least that particular one, that was the driving force that got me into entrepreneurship. I truly believe that if I was comfortable there, then I probably wouldn't be where I am today. So I am thankful for that toxic experience, right? Because it definitely forced me out the door and it forced me into entrepreneurship, which is ultimately what I always wanted to do. But I want you to think about what your dream life would look like. What side of town would you live on? What kind of car would you drive? What kind of vacations would you take? I want you to really think about that. And then once you list those things, ask yourself, are you living those things now? Are you financially free now? Are you happy with the direction your life is going in now? Are you at your goal weight now? Have you even lost any weight at all? Are you getting bigger every year? You got to ask yourself that. Are you pleased with the friendships and the people that you keep in your life? Do they uplift you or do they drain you? Do they make you feel confident or do they make you feel insecure? You got to ask yourself that. And most of the time when you're trying to change something, it's because you're not getting the results that you want. So if you do want to lose weight, most of the time it's because you're not at your dream weight, your goal weight. If you do want to start a business, most of the time it's because you're not happy working the job that you have. Because if you were content, if you were truly fulfilled there, you wouldn't desire to have a business. It wouldn't cross your mind because you are happy with where you're at, right? But you're not. You're not. Okay. There are things about your life that you want to change. And unfortunately, you are in this motivation loop. You are in the, well, I'd rather listen about it. I'd rather watch about it, but I don't actually want to be about it. I don't actually want to embody it. And that's the problem. That's the loop I'm talking about. That's the addiction that I think social media has caused. Because, I mean, your phone is always in your pocket. All it takes is a few seconds for you to get a dope of motivation, right? So you can feel good about yourself for about 30 seconds and then it wears off and then you're looking for the next fix. But nowhere in that process are you actually changing anything about your life so that you can get closer to the dream life that you want. And there's something else too that I've noticed about people, and again, I used to be the exact same way. We are very entitled. And I think we've been living in this entitled mindset for so long that you don't even realize how entitled you actually are. But you're pretty freaking entitled because you want a business. I'm just throwing out ideas, okay? Most of the people who are watching my content are aspiring entrepreneurs in some way, shape, or form, right? You want a business, but you don't want the discipline that comes with a business. You want to be able to say you're a business owner, but you don't want to turn the TV off and actually work on the business. You say you want to lose weight, but you don't want to stop going to McDonald's every day. You say you want to get active, but every single day you're sitting on the couch watching Netflix and Hulu. You say you say that you want to create content, but the only time you pick up your phone is to watch more motivational videos. It's not to record anything. It's entitlement because you don't really want the responsibility that comes with it. And it's crazy because it's like, why do you think that's how life operates? Like, let me ask you, you want a paycheck every 2 weeks, right? But you don't just say, yeah, I want a paycheck, but I'm not going to go to work. No, you get your ass up and you go to work. Period. Point blank. Simple. You get your ass up and you go to work. But for some reason, when it comes to the goals that you have for yourself, it's, yeah. I know I said that I want to create content. I know that's what I said, but I don't know. It's a tough choice. I got to choose between watching another episode of Love Island versus recording content. I guess I'll just start tomorrow. and then tomorrow never comes because you don't want to sacrifice your favorite TV show in order to get your dream life. It's absolutely crazy when you say it like that. It sounds absurd, but that's really what you're doing. That's really what you're doing. Notice actions, I'm sure you've heard this before. Actions speak louder than words, right? Most people have heard that phrase. And the crazy thing is, most of the time when we hear that phrase, we're referring to other people, right? So let me give you an example. If you, let's say you're dating somebody and he says that you're important to him, he says that he values your relationship. However, the actions are giving something different, right? He's not consistent with his communication with you. He's not, really putting in any effort to spend time with you. His actions speak louder than his words, right? Okay, cool. So we're clear on what that means. But why do we not put that inward? Why do we not look at it with ourselves? You say you want to lose weight, but your actions are giving you don't want to put the fork down. You say you want to get healthy, but you don't even want to take you don't even want to take a 15-minute walk. It's not making sense. It's not making sense. And I just really feel like the life that you're living should be motivation enough for whatever it is you want to change. Just look at your current results. How do you feel? Like literally ask yourself, how do you feel? It's amazing how we'll sit in these toxic cycles, these miserable cycles, these depressing cycles, these anxious cycles, than to just do the thing that would stop all of it. Like, it's crazy to me. And I think the more leveled up I get, the harder it is for me to understand why we do it in the first place. And I used to be miserable too. I used to be 340 pounds. I used to be an alcoholic. I was an extremely heavy drinker every night, never missed a night unless I was hungover from the night before. I used to have excuse after excuse. And it's like, I was so miserable. I was so miserable. And at least like back then, social media isn't like what it is now. Okay, this was damn near 6 years ago when I started entrepreneurship. So, when I was in that toxic cycle, I don't really even remember being on YouTube watching motivational YouTube videos. I don't even think TikTok wasn't a thing back then. Because let me think. I had my 9 to 5. I started that job in 2015. Instagram had just became a thing like a couple years before that. I remember I was in college and people were asking me if I had an Instagram and I didn't even know what that was. Okay. I think I had made my Facebook account when I was a senior in high school. So I graduated high school in 2009. And I think before that, like a couple years before that, Facebook was just for students. So I really don't remember social media being a big part of my life back then. When I was on social, it was really just on Facebook, and I was just looking at other people's lives. And these people that I was looking at back then, these were people that I knew. So my Facebook consisted of people I went to high school with, people I went to college with, people I used to work with at some point in time, because I always had like fast food jobs before I had my 9 to 5. So when I was on social, that's what I was doing. But even back then, I was not like on Facebook all day, every day. Like, so it's so hard for me to understand how people would rather, and look, I'm not throwing shade, I'm just asking, how would you rather want to just watch somebody else live the life that you want than just go create that for yourself? And it really is that simple. it's really not as hard as you're making it. You are making it hard because what you're doing is you're battling what you want versus what you don't want to give up. Like you say you want a life of freedom, but you don't want to give up being on the phone for 4 hours with your girlfriend talking about nothing. You don't want to give that up. You want a healthier body, you want to lose weight, but you also don't want to stop going to Starbucks every day to get your macchiato frappe with 800 calories in the whipped cream. You want a business, right? You want to create content, but you also don't want to stop doom scrolling for hours. And that's the entitlement because you can't have both. You can't have both. And if you are genuinely not happy with the way things are going for you right now, then stop. Just stop. Make the decision, okay, today is not going to be like it was yesterday because yesterday sucked. I hated how I felt. I hated the fact that I was crying. I hated the fact that I had anxiety. I hated the fact that there was nothing in my day that made me excited about life. And today is going to be different because I said it's going to be. And then you're going to implement something off of the list of things that you want to do, and you're going to do it. So instead of you spending an hour in bed scrolling on TikTok, you're going to spend an hour figuring out what kind of content you're going to create the next day. That's what you're going to do. If that's really what you want. But watching another motivational video is not going to help you. Archiving another reel is not going to help you. Tuning into another live is not going to help you because you're not doing any of the things that you say you want to do. You're not doing any of them. And I'm not sitting here saying that every day it's so easy to make the choice to work on the goals. No, it's not. But you know what makes it a lot easier? Remembering how I felt when I wasn't doing the things that I wanted to do. Remembering how depressed I was when nothing in my day was structured around what I wanted to do. Now my whole entire day, from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, is revolving around things that genuinely make me happy. Like every single day I get up, I do my first 10K steps, and I go to the gym downstairs. I still have a gym membership, but I haven't been going to a gym. I've been using the gym downstairs in my apartment complex. And that's been working so well for me, just because I get up so early to be on TikTok live I try to get on there by 6 o'clock in the morning. So that's just been working out for me. I've noticed that going to the gym after being on live is far more or less likely just because being live, it just takes a lot of emotional energy for me. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to make sure I prioritize my health. I've lost 100 pounds and my body is almost where I want it to be. And I'm not willing to give that up because of how hard I worked. So in order for me to maintain that, that means I have to do that first. I have to take care of me first. I'm not willing to negotiate my body goals. I am not willing to negotiate my health goals for a business. I love my business. I'm so proud of my business, but I am not willing to lose myself in my business. That is a boundary. And so I've been working out in the morning. And there are plenty of days where my alarm goes off and I'm debating on whether or not to go get my steps in, go weight lift, or just sleep for a few more hours and then put myself together and get on TikTok live and skip working out altogether. Okay? But I always choose getting up because I love how I feel about myself. I love how I look. I love how strong I am. I love the fact that I put myself first and I hold on to that feeling. It's like a high. It's genuinely a high. Like The way you feel, and if you've lost weight, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And I don't care how much weight you've lost, whether you've lost 20 pounds, 100 pounds like me, maybe you've lost 200 pounds. I had a woman join Globe Academy, she lost 300 pounds, okay? So you already know. If you've been on a weight loss journey, you know exactly what feeling I'm talking about. If you've never lost weight before, you might be like, huh? But I'm telling you, that feeling of pride that you get when you see how good you look because you decided to just keep locking in. You kept showing up, even when it was hard, even when people were telling you you're getting too skinny, you look sick. You kept going, right? That's like a high. And you hold on to it. And so, because I've gotten to that point on my journey, I am not willing to let it go because I know myself. This is what happens to most people. One day turns into 2 days, and the next thing you know, it's been 3 weeks, and then it's been 6 months, and then it's been 2 years, and you have completely fallen off. You have completely fallen off. I know how it goes. So to avoid that fall off loop, I just don't allow myself to fall off. Okay, so I get my ass up. I ask myself, how do I feel when I work out, when I get my first 10K steps in, when I lift my weights, when I come back inside and I'm eating breakfast, how do I feel about myself? I feel amazing. Absolutely amazing. I feel on top of the world. Yes, the endorphins are kicking in, but it's really the mental stamina. It's just the pride. Seeing my muscles like, yo, like I am getting so cut, like my collarbones, my shoulders have the cap, like my biceps are really starting to take over. Like I can even see the indentation in my thighs, like my quads, like my six pack is coming in. Like I really see it, and it becomes so addictive. So that's why I keep going. That's why I keep going, even on the days when I don't feel like it. That's why I keep going. Also, I ask myself when it's time to run my business. So making content. Making content. Prime example for my content creators on here who are trying to start their business, trying to get consistent with their content. There are plenty of days where I don't necessarily feel like making content, right? Maybe I would rather, do some administrative stuff, just whatever. But the feeling that I feel about myself after I finish recording a video, I feel amazing. I feel so proud of myself. I feel accomplished as hell. So that is why I keep doing it because I'm holding on to that high, right? Same with doing my makeup. I told you guys, I used to be a makeup girly. I started my business during COVID, so 2020. I was doing my makeup. I was still very heavy back then. But then when I started my weight loss journey, I actually stopped doing my makeup because my argument was, well, I go to the gym and I'm sweating and I don't want to have to take my makeup off. It was just like, just making a whole bunch of excuses, right? So for about 3 years, I was not doing my makeup at all. But I was still focused on like my skincare, making sure my face stayed clear, doing all that. But like as far as like putting on makeup every day, I literally stopped doing all of that. In 2025, I had came across Ashley Dalton. I love Ashley Dalton. I came across her page and, she talks about, when you look good, you feel good. And I always believed that. And so, she's big on telling the ladies, do your makeup, like put yourself together. It only takes a few minutes. Like it's really not as long of a process as you try to make it. And so, I was listening to her content. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it. See, this is the difference. I watched content, but then I implemented what I watched. A lot of you guys just watch just to watch. I implement. So I started doing it. And I was like, wow, I used to feel like this all the time. When I was doing my makeup before, like feeling more productive, like feeling like I really care about myself, spending those extra 20, 30 minutes putting myself together every single day, even if I'm not going anywhere, even if I'm not making content. It's how it makes me feel about myself. And so that is something that I have implemented, and I have been doing my makeup every single day for an entire year, even when I don't leave the house, even when I don't make content, even when I don't go live. I will get up, I wash up, I put myself together, do my makeup, I go on my walk, I go to the gym, and I keep my makeup on and I shower at night and I wash it all off and then I go to bed. And that schedule has been working for me for an entire year. And the way I feel about myself, can't even explain it. It is the best feeling in the world, especially because I remember how I used to feel about myself. I used to think I was ugly. I used to hate the way I looked. I used to be so insecure. It was just a toxic mindset that I had before I started implementing things that make me feel good, that make me feel amazing. And so that's why I keep asking you to ask yourself, how do you feel? Just ask yourself, how do you feel about you? How do you feel about your life? That's motivation enough. That is motivation enough. That is all you need. Because if you're going to sit here and say, yeah, I don't feel my best. I don't feel productive. I don't feel good about me. Then why do you still make the choice to feel that way? Because life is all about choices and trade-offs. It's all about choices and trade-offs. You cannot have both. You want to feel amazing about yourself, but yet not work on any other goals that you have. That doesn't even make any sense. You want to feel confident, but you don't do any of the things that confident people do, like take care of their body. And I'm not even talking about just for aesthetic purposes. I'm literally just talking about how eating healthy makes you feel. You're not going to sit here and tell me you don't have more energy when you eat fruits and vegetables. You don't have to be plant-based like me, but at the end of the day, you already know that when you go to McDonald's, you feel like shit afterwards. I don't have to tell you this, but you become so addicted to that loop that you don't even understand that there's a better way to feel. You're not going to sit here and tell me you don't feel better when you get 8 hours of sleep versus when you get 5. You're not going to tell me that, because I know that's a bold-faced lie. You know you feel a lot better when you get 8 hours of sleep. Some of y'all are running off of 2 and 3 hours of sleep, and it's not because you don't have a choice. You have a choice, but the problem is you don't want to put the phone down. You don't want to put the phone down. You want to continue to scroll and doom scroll on social for hours and still feel well rested. That's what you want. That's what you're hoping for, but that's not going to happen. It hasn't happened yet because you're still sleepy, you're still groggy, and you're still not 1,000% happy with the way your life is going right now. There's things about your life that you know you want to change. So when people are like, Jazz, well, how do I get motivated? Your life should be motivation enough. If you don't feel good about yourself right now, that's because your day is not structured around things that make you happy. In the full 24 hours of the day, there is not one thing in that day that you do just for you. There's not one thing. You don't do any exercises for you. You don't eat anything healthy for you. You're not working on the business that's for you. You're not eliminating people from your life who are toxic and drain you. You're going to a job that you absolutely hate. Your entire day is full of things that you don't like. And then you wonder why you don't feel good. But it doesn't have to stay that way. It does not have to stay that way. Instead of you sitting on Instagram for 3 hours, go get your ass up and take a walk. Instead of you going to McDonald's, make you some food at home. With some fruits and veggies, please. Instead of you trying to nurture friendships that don't pour into you, start nurturing yourself. What are we doing? What are we doing? Because life is too short to just be sitting around, living day by day, not doing anything that fulfills you. I love my schedule. And it was not always like this. It took trial and error and figuring out, what works best for me. How can I stay consistent the easiest, right? It takes trial and error. You might start working out. Prime example. So before I lost weight this time around, because I had yo-yo dieted for years, okay? I was always losing 20 pounds, gaining 40. That was the ritual, right? And so before, when I had a job, when I was trying to like lose weight, what I was doing was going to the gym after work, okay? Because my argument was, well, I can't go before work because I have to be to work at 8, 8:30. I have to shower because I'm a heavy sweater. By the way, back then, I didn't have my thyroid under control. I do have hyper. My thyroid hormones produce too much thyroid hormone. So now I'm on medicine that slows it down, right? So it's normal production. But back then, I wasn't on any type of thyroid medication. And so I used to sweat so much. Like, even when I was playing basketball when I was younger, like, we would just be doing a warm up and I would literally be drenched in sweat. You would think I literally just got out the pool. Like, I would just be drenched in sweat. And so my argument for not being able to work out in the morning was, before work, was I just sweat too much and it's going to be too much for me to like have to shower. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to work out at night. Now I don't really sweat like that. So that's why I brought that up. But back then I was sweating like crazy. And so I was like, well, I have to just work out after work. But the problem with that was that job was draining. It was toxic. I was miserable. So by the time I got off work, it was so hard for me to consistently go to the gym after work because my energy is depleted. And so I wasn't consistently going and working out in the evening because that just didn't align with my energy levels, right? And so that's why I would always yo-yo. I know weight loss is more like what you eat versus an exercise, but what I'm saying is like just trying to implement moving my body and being more active. It was so hard for me to consistently do that just because I'm not an evening person, like at all. And for the longest time, I kept trying to force myself to be an evening workout person. But I kept failing at it because that's just not when I have the most energy. I am not ready to work out at 6 o'clock at night. It's just not going to happen. Some people, they love evening workouts, but me, absolutely not. And so this time around, when I did lose the weight, I had to come to the realization I'm a morning person. So stop fighting it. The things that are most important to me, that move the needle forward, I have to do first thing in the morning. Otherwise, it's not going to get done at all because that's just how my energy goes. And so through trial and error, I learned more about myself and okay, I have more energy in the morning, so I got to make sure I'm working out in the morning, right? So you're not going to figure it all out right away. You're going to have to keep doing the things that you know that you need to be doing, and then you can start to figure out, okay, when would it be easier for me to be consistently doing this? If you're a morning person like me, then you know you got to do it first thing in the morning. If you're a night person, well then you thrive at night. So you going to the gym at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, that's easy for you because you love that type of time, right? But that all comes through trial and error and just learning more about yourself. But once you figure it out, once you do figure out what works best for you, it's so easy to be consistent. And through trial and error, I have literally created a schedule for myself that I absolutely love. I love my schedule. And you have to be a very important person in my life to get me to throw my schedule off in any way, shape, or form to make time for you. Because I love my schedule. Like, I love my schedule. And the entire day is around things I like to do. Like, I didn't even know I was an artsy person. So I made this. I wanted to show you guys this last video, but I forgot. So this is my art. It's a puppy. And I love this. It's a pillow. It's just like a throw pillow. And I'm making another one now. But stuff like this is fun for me. And I never knew I was an artsy person. I never thought I was a creative person. Like, for years, I never thought I was creative. And here I am, a whole content creator, right? I never thought I was artsy. And now I love doing arts and crafts type stuff. I love doing this type of stuff. And so I started incorporating it into my day-to-day. So my whole day is around things that I like to do. Now, I'm not sitting here saying there's things about business that I don't like, but but I still get it done. But it's not hard to get it done because most of my day is around things that I actually like to do. You feel me? So when you get to wake up every day doing what you love, now you feel good about yourself. Now you're excited to start your day. You have so much self-respect for yourself, and then that translates into who you keep around you, right? Because you respect yourself, you love yourself, you value yourself and your time. And now you only want to be around people who have that same type of energy about you, right? So, back to the original statement, what were we talking about? It's not really lack of motivation. It's really just you're in this loop of watching. It's just hard for me to understand why we would rather stay in a cycle that's not bringing us happiness at all than to just recreate the cycle and do things that genuinely make us happy. You can monetize anything. You know this. You know this. I don't have to tell you that. You know that. You see it for yourself. Maybe you're an arts and crafts type of person. You could put your art and stuff on Etsy. Like, what are we even talking about right now? It doesn't matter what you want to do. But in order to get it done, you are going to have to make the decision. You're going to have to make the choice. Am I going to keep doing what I've been doing, which is a whole bunch of nothing? Or am I going to change? Bye, you guys.